friends, my name's Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm really excited to record or film this video also because as you can see, I have a mic. I'm going to see if I can work this out. I'm trying to record the audio separately and film this. We'll see if this happens. If the audio sounds the same, then it didn't happen for us. But today I'm coming at you with my mid-year Freakout book tag. I have never filmed one of these videos, but I'm really excited because I haven't done a ton of wrap-ups. I have been doing wrap-ups in the form of like photos on my Bookstagram. If you have seen those, I pretty much do like a wrap-up where I talk about some of my favorite books that I read in the past month. But anyway, this tag has a lot of really interesting questions about like favorites and least favorites that you have read so far in the year. It is currently July, so we're already halfway through 2023, which is insane. But yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure who the original creator for this tag is, so I will make sure to find that out and put it in the description below in the box. But yeah, I'm just gonna get started with question number 1, which is, what is the best book that you have read so far in 2023? So I'm really excited. This is the latest book that I've also have read. So I just finished this morning and it was so good. I had a different book for this earlier, which I honestly can't even remember what I had before this one. But my favorite book that I've read so far this year is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is my first R.F. Kuang book, by the way, and it's so good. And I was nervous because I know that R.F. Kuang has written just fantasy in the past, and they're very intimidating books. But now I'm so excited to read more by R.F. Kuang. Her writing was incredible. But if you haven't heard of this book, which I'm extremely surprised if you haven't, like I said, this is my favorite book of the year so far. Really loved it, so of course 5 out of 5 stars. But basically, this novel follows, I already forgot her name, of course. Her name's Juniper, and Juniper is a wannabe writer, and she went to school, I believe she went to Yale, and she has this best friend, well, not a best friend, she has like an acquaintance that she kind of has like a love-hate friendship with, and her name is Athena, and Athena is a very accomplished writer. She is Asian American, and Juniper is like a white girl. She's Caucasian. And basically she's hanging out with her best friend. Well, not her best friend. I keep saying that, but they weren't best friends. But she's hanging out with her friend Athena, who is a writer. And basically Athena dies in front of her. And Juniper steals a manuscript that Athena wrote and then pretends like she wrote this book. And it is insane. It is such a good book. I loved it. There's so many conversations happening in this book about the publishing industry, diversity in novels, and it's very open-ended. And the fact that this novel was written by an Asian author and speaking on all of these different topics, it was just so freaking interesting. I loved it. It's funny. It's like super sharp, if that makes any sense, but love this book. And yeah, so far, favorite book of the year. I don't know if anything else will top it, but yeah, I truly loved it, and I am recommending this to everybody. Everyone should read this book. All right, the next question is the best sequel that you have read so far in 2023. So for me, that is Miss Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the second book in the Alex Stern series. The first book in this series is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I believe this is like one of the first books that I read this year. Like I said, this is a fantasy, and basically it follows Alex Stern, and she has gone through a lot of trauma. And basically Alex, like I said, has gone through a lot of trauma. She has dabbled in drugs in the past, and basically the novel kind of opens her in a hospital. And basically she's the only survivor of this like massacre that happened. So like all of her friends are murdered in this like house, and she is the sole survivor of this thing that happened. And basically when she's in the hospital, she is offered this position at Yale for the secret societies because Miss Alex can see ghosts, which is a very important thing for these magical secret societies in Yale. So yeah, it's such a good series. I have read ACOTAR by Sarah J. Maas, and that's like my favorite fantasy series, but this is a close second fantasy series that is currently ongoing, and it's so, so good. And the second book was just so well crafted, in my opinion. So yeah, this is my favorite sequel so far this year. All right, the third question is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. And this is my latest purchase, and that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Ashley Poston wrote The Dead Romantics, which is one of my favorite romance books. I have like a top list of favorite romance books, and The Dead Romantics is up there, so I am extremely excited to read another Ashley Poston. So The 7-Year Slip follows Clementine, and she is a book publicist, which I love because The Dead Romantics also followed someone in like the publishing industry who was a ghostwriter, so excited for that little insight into the publishing world. But basically Clementine, she has like a favorite auntie, and she has recently passed away. And she moves into her late aunt's apartment, and she finds a man in this apartment. And basically ever since her auntie passed away, she has tried to keep herself like grounded, like just immersing herself into work and trying to not think about it, and trying to not like, fall in love and stuff like that. So I guess this man that she sees in this living room could potentially be someone that she falls in love with. But the catch is that this man that is in her auntie's living room lives 7 years in the past. So fun. I love Ashley Poston's, it's like publishing industry, like our main character, also a little bit of magical realism, and it always has to do with like death things. So I am sensing a pattern in Ashley Poston, and I really love it. So I'm excited to read this soon. Question number 4 is, what is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? For me, that has to be Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I will say, I don't know what this book's about, to be honest. I know this is Elizabeth Acevedo's first adult fiction novel. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. I think it comes out on the 1st of August. And yeah, I just love Elizabeth's writing. I've read everything that Elizabeth has put out, so I will be reading this one. I think it is written in prose, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, this is an anticipated release. I don't need to know what this book's about, so I read it. Like, I really don't. So yeah. Question number 5 is a juicy one, and that is your biggest disappointment. Unfortunately, I had really high hopes for this book, and that is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca McKay, sorry, I don't know. And this book is just, I had really high hopes, and I had heard so many good things about it, and I just feel like I read it, and I was just so underwhelmed, and I just feel like I've read books like this before that have been done better. Like, if you want to read something like this that in my opinion is better, like I would read like If We Were Villains or The It Girl by Ruth Ware, like those type of books that are dark academia that follow like a group of friends in college, and someone dies in college, and then like a decade later they reopen the case. Like it's that trope, and I feel like The It Girl by Ruth Ware did this story a lot better than this one did. So yeah, that was why it was a disappointment for me. Question number 6 is biggest surprise, and for that I have Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. I tried reading a book by Catriona Ward called The Last House in Needless Street a while ago, and it was so confusing and I couldn't get into it. So I got an ARC for Looking Glass Sound, and I was like, let me give it a try because I've been enjoying horror recently. So I gave it a shot, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of those books that I ended feeling like, I don't know what I just read, but I loved every second of it. So it's really, really difficult to explain what this book's about. But basically it follows this group of 3 friends. So it's 2 boys and 1 girl, and it kind of has like It by Stephen King vibes. I've never read It, but it's just what it feels like to me because I've seen the movies. And basically these 3 young kids, they go in the summer to like this house or place in Maine, and they hang out, and basically there's like a serial killer and all of these things. But of course, like the young boy whose name I can't remember, you see like his whole life until he's like later in his like 40s, 50s, whatever. And there are some writing aspects into it. Like, honestly, it's so hard to explain. But it's a wild ride, and I really, really enjoyed it. Question number 7 is favorite new author. And I read my first book by this author this year, and that is Miss Catherine Center. The first book that I read by her is The Bodyguard, and so far I have read Hello Stranger, which comes out really soon, in a couple of weeks from now. I got an ARC for that, read it, loved it, 5 out of 5. Bodyguard was also 5 out of 5, and I just finished Happiness for Beginners by Miss Catherine Center, because that's becoming a movie on Netflix. And if you don't know Catherine Center, she is a romance author. All 3 books that I've read by her were all 5 stars. Enjoyed thoroughly each one of them. I have spoken about Hello Stranger recently in a couple of videos back, also on my Bookstagram. Bodyguard, as you can see, it's a romance, and it follows this girl who is a bodyguard, and she is hired to be a bodyguard for this like famous celebrity guy, and basically she has to pretend to be dating him because he doesn't want his family to know that he's in danger of like a stalker. So that is basically the premise of that. Hello Stranger, it's a whole different type of book, but it's really, really good too. And Happiness for Beginners, like I said, it's coming out with a movie on Netflix, and it's basically about this woman who was recently divorced, and she decides to take one of those like survival courses where she goes like hiking for several days, and her brother's best friend ends up in this survival course with her. And it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to watch the movie. And I'm actually meeting Catherine Center in a couple weeks, which is so exciting because she's like my favorite new author, and I truly love her stuff. So I'm really excited to meet her. Question number 8, it's newest fictional character crush. I read that question wrong, but basically newest fictional crush. I don't really have a new fictional crush. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the same as last year, but he was in a book that I read that I already talked about, which was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, and that is Darlington from the Alex Stern series. Love him, adore him. He's a smart man, he's funny, and he's my fictional crush. I don't really have fictional crushes, so like if I find one, like I'm just sticking to that. So it's definitely Darlington. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. And this was hard for me to choose because I have read some romances that have really fun characters. But I do have to say that recently I've been reading a lot more horror, and the person who got me into horror is Miss Rachel Harrison, and her characters I adore. And one character that I've enjoyed a lot recently is Rory from Such Sharp Teeth, but I will say all of her main characters in all of Rachel Harrison's novels are so funny, like strong, independent, like really complex, messy women, and I adore. So Such Sharp Teeth is Rachel Harrison's werewolf horror novel. Rachel always has like a trope. So Cackle is like witchy, Such Sharp Teeth is werewolves. And then she has coming out Black Sheep, which is like cults. And then she just announced that she is working on a vampire novel, which I'm so excited for. But yeah, Miss Rory from Such Sharp Teeth is like my favorite character that I've read recently. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. And I think so far this year, this is the only book that has made me cry, and that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This year, I'm romance, I'm horror girly, like, I'm out here, and it's really weird. It's very different. But yeah, this is a fake dating story. It is also, like, a medical romance. It has, like, letters, but the main thing that made me cry in this book is the anxiety representation and how healthy they are to each other and how careful they are to not hurt one another. It's such a beautiful love story. and it made me cry because I felt it. Like, I really did. So, yeah, this is my favorite. Not my favorite, but this is the only book that has made me cry this year. But also my favorite, Abby Jimenez. So, question number 11 is a book that made you happy. I love this question. And for that, I have The Do's and Do Nots of Love by Adiva Jayagurdar. Sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. But yeah, this was another huge surprise for me as well. I randomly picked this up because I heard it was queer. I got it in the mail. Thank you. I believe it was Macmillan who sent me this my way. But yeah, this book just made me so happy. It had a lot of different things. Like, it's queer, it has baking, it has a reality competition show. It had a character that reminded me of Gordon Ramsay because of the name, and I love Gordon Ramsay. If you know me, you know that I love Gordon Ramsay. And basically the premise of this is this girl, oh my goodness, I'm so bad at remembering names. Okay, so Shireen, she enters a junior baking show. Is basically like the Great British Bake Off, but for kids or teenagers. And one of the contestants is her ex-girlfriend, and then there's also another girl in the mix that she could potentially be falling in love with. And it's just so wholesome. And it has so many puns. Every title of the chapter titles is a pun, and it's the best thing ever. It's really funny. It has a lot of really great conversations, plus size rep, sapphic romance, baking. Like, it just made my heart happy, and it was the best thing ever, and I loved it. I love this video. This is so much fun. Question number 12 is most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. I don't know why I had a hard time picking one. Maybe this is because I'm currently reading it, but the only book that came to mind was The Collective Regrets of Clover by Mickey Bramer. I'm currently reading this, and I really like the cover. Whenever there's a cover with like flowers and stuff and it's pretty colorful, I like. So I just picked this one. I don't know why it was so hard for me to come up with an answer for this question, but yeah, here we are. And The Collective Regrets of Clover follows this woman who, her name is Clover, and she is a death doula, which I didn't know what that was until she explained it in this book. And basically she helps people not be alone when they're dying. And she has been really connected to death her whole life. And yeah, and basically she's just very like introverted, and I'm assuming that this like story is her coming out of her shell and stuff like that. So I really am enjoying it so far, so it's a good one. All right, and question number 13 is favorite review you have written so far this year. I don't write a lot of reviews, but on Instagram, sometimes I'll write the longer caption if I read something that really captivated me. And for that, I have Daisy Jones. I'm sorry, I'm like reading my doc and then... Anyway, it's White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. I read this during mental health... Mental Health Awareness Month, sorry. And I read this because I heard it had great OCD anxiety representation, and it was exceptional. Like, the representation in this book, I felt so seen. It was sad, but I felt so seen. So I wrote a really nice review because I really love this book on Instagram, and I guess that's the one that I'm the most proud of so far this year. So yeah, this one is sort of like a Haunting of Hill House / Get Out type of novel. Like I said, the main character, she's a teenager, she has OCD, she has anxiety, and basically her mother, she signs like a deal for, I forget the name of it, but it's basically she's doing some research, and basically she's getting paid to do this research, and they had to move, and this house that they live in, they're living in for free, but it is a creepy home, and the town is a little weird. So yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. So Tiffany D. Jackson's writing also is so addictive and wonderful that, it was really, really great. So yeah. Alrighty, last 2 questions here. So number 14 is favorite book to movie adaptation of 2023. I couldn't think of anything that like completely blew me away. I'm really looking forward to certain things like The Summer I Turned Pretty and Heartstopper on Netflix. But the only one that I could think of is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This got an Amazon Prime show. Now that I'm thinking about it, I also really liked Love Kitty, or isn't that Exo Kitty? Yeah, Exo Kitty. But that wasn't really a book. It was kind of like, it was going off from the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. So yeah, but I guess Daisy Jones could count for a favorite book to TV adaptation from 2023 so far. So yeah, that is my answer. Last but not least, we have, what books do you need to read by the end of 2023? And I know that I have them down here, so I don't know why I didn't pick them out. So, one second. So, for this last question, I have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and then I also have The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. I can't believe that I haven't read The Nightingale yet. So it has to happen in 2023. I think my motivation will be when the movie is coming out, because there's going to be a movie. I will be reading this book. And The Hunting Party, I just really want to read it. This is set, I believe, if it's in Scotland or like London, and I do want to read it when I'm over there, overseas. I will be over there in September, so I've been putting it off for that reason. So I really want to read this one by the end of the year, as well as The Nightingale by the end of this year. Alrighty, I'm trying not to clap too hard because I have the microphone in front of me. But yeah, that is the end of the mid-year Freakout book tag. I can't believe it's already July 4th as I'm filming this. I hope this mic situation works out for us. I really do. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!